Good morning, social media breakfast. How are you? Hi. Hi, Todd. How are you today?
Hey guys, what's going on, everybody?
So I hope you're getting your coffee ready and getting ready to hang out with Todd and I. We have a really awesome conversation planned for you. Um, I just want you to know that I'm so excited to have Todd on here because he couldn't be here normally because he doesn't live in Houston, right? So
Yeah,
that's one thing. So we are able to do, that's one of the silver linings, I guess, of this is that we can bring people in that are awesome from other places. Make sure you say good morning to us in the chat. Jessica's here. Good. Katie. Hi, Katie.
hey
We were just
Katie, hey
talking about
Jessica.
you right before we got on here
Yeah,
in a nice way. Awesome. So
always.
let me know you're here, no matter where you're listening from. Also, it'd be cool to see where you're listening from. So I know that we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and we're on Facebook. So wherever you are, I can see your comments. So make sure you put them in so Todd and I can answer your questions as we go
Yep.
along. But welcome, Todd. I'm so glad to have you here. Todd has been, we've been friends for a while now.
Yeah,
But
years now. Yeah.
yeah, years at this point. And I hired you this past year to help us out with putting together a funnel to build our email list and to start doing that kind of work for Zoetica and for Smart Social Secrets.
Yep.
And you are a really amazing expert at putting together using live video like what we're doing right now to turn live video into actual leads for your business. And I think I wanted people to know about that. I wanted to share that. That's one of the things I like to do is I like to try things and then share everything with everybody and let them know how I did it so they can do it too.
Yeah,
so awesome.
Absolutely.
So Todd, you do a lot of things. You're an entrepreneur. You've got a lot of businesses. So he is the owner of Tresnick Media, which is an agency for, social media ads. That's why I've hired you to work with our team as well. And you also have a really cool new startup called Zeotag, which is super cool. You want to tell everybody about that a little bit?
Yeah, so, tying in perfectly to the video topic, Zeotag is an AI-powered piece of software that takes any online video. So after this is done, we'll have the YouTube link, the Facebook links, etc. You take a YouTube link, you paste it into Zeotag, it will auto-transcribe your video and make it fully searchable. So it adds a search functionality. And then you can also manually or automatically create what we call Zeotags, which is basically a table of contents of your video. So the same way you look at someone who has show notes and the little timestamps, but then you got to scrub through, this makes those clickable. So when you have a video, we're going to be talking here for 45 minutes, an hour. We're going to hit a lot of different topics. So being able to pull up a video with a table of contents and being able to jump around those different topics is what Zeotag helps people do. And then when you Zeotag all of your videos, you get a searchable library. So you can actually type, you get a search box for all your videos, type in a keyword and find wherever it was mentioned in any of your any of the videos in your library. So super cool tool for anybody who's creating video content and publishing it on their website.
Yeah, cool. And I'll give you guys the link to that later for sure, Zeotag. And also we actually do that for Social Media Breakfast. So Tracy, who's in the chat right now. Hi, Tracy. She's been pulling those together. She's been learning how to use Zeotag. It's been fun for her. So we have the posts for these afterwards. And in fact, Tracy, you may want to go grab one of the old posts that we've done recently and just throw it on so people can see how it looks. Awesome. So everybody's joining us. Do you see them coming in? Do you see them streaming in?
Hey guys.
Awesome. Christina,
Diana, Eric,
Tracy,
Michelle. Hey everybody,
Tawana.
Karen, Jeannie.
Did you say Tawana or Tawana? Tawana? I don't know. I'm sorry if I say that wrong. Jessica, Michelle, Jeannie. Oh, cool. Okay, excellent. Karen. Hi, Karen. Awesome. So we are so glad you've joined us this morning, and we're going to jump right into this topic. So let's just talk a little bit, Todd, about why video is working right now, because it seems like there's a lot of video. So it seems like how come are people watching it, and is it, first of all, I feel like, are people getting tired of it? I mean, just give me the landscape right now for where we are with video.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason I love video so much is because it becomes like the queen bee of everything else that you have in your marketing, where you can take one single video and turn it into written articles, transcription, social media posts, snippets, graphics, and all that kind of stuff. So just from an asset creation perspective, I think that's what makes video so powerful for businesses. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. But also, things have kind of loosened up a little bit depending where you live. Looks like they're getting tighter again. But this year, I mean, video was already set to be tremendously huge. And once everybody got locked down, video watching and video creation just skyrocketed, and they have more time to pay attention to it. But really what I think is using it as an asset where you can turn it into multiple things. And I think when you're able to put your face in front of your audience and talk to them, it creates a better relationship. It creates that familiarity with them when they're seeing you and hearing you more often. Even if they don't have the sound on, just seeing you moving like a real live person in front of them in their feeds is really good. And then when they do sit down and take the time to dive deeper in, they are consuming obviously with more senses, which creates a stronger bond between you and your audience. And that's really what's so awesome about using video.
Yeah. And so where is the best place to do video? So there's so many places, like even today, we're streaming over 4 different platforms.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're everywhere. We're live casting. But where is it right now that you feel is the best place to be streaming at the moment?
Well, the real answer is always wherever your audience is, right? So if your audience is heavy on LinkedIn, then that's where you should be putting your videos. Not everybody has the live LinkedIn's yet, so it would have to be recorded. If your audience is on Facebook or Instagram, that's where you want to be doing it. And what I always like to do is create assets like this, like we're doing, create your live videos, and then afterwards embed them on your website in a blog post, right? So then you have them where you can continuously reference back and link to it. You can send people there. It becomes an easier thing for people to scroll through and find on your website versus when they're scrolling through social media. It's something, once it's on your website, you can then share it in your email for your email subscribers, or in your evergreen drip sequences, you can link to it, right? So where you stream it and where you spend most of your time should be based on where your audience is, and then just using that and repurposing it in different places so that it becomes something that can reach more people more, for a longer period of time.
I agree. And some people don't even know that you can actually embed a Facebook video in a website. I think some people don't even realize that. Yeah. It's just in the 3 dots. I think you have to go to the actual video library to get it, or just the 3 dots, but you can maybe just
you can do it on the 3 dots.
So then you just embed it. And that's really an amazing thing. So you don't even need any special tools. I mean, I love Zeotag, but you don't need any special tools to do it. And I think that that's something that you should do immediately. I love that you suggest that. So let's talk about, I guess, a few ideas. We can actually even let's run through my funnel for a second, just so that they know how we set that up and what we're doing with that. So that's a real funnel that's working right now, and it's working really well. We are using ads with it. You don't have to have ads, but ads accelerate everything.
Exactly.
They just accelerate everything.
If you have good content, ads will help you get good content to people. If you have bad content, ads will get bad content out to people. If you have a good offer, ads are just a way to amplify the amount of people that you're reaching. So, it always starts with making sure you have good content, and I love the way that we use video with you guys because, what we like to do with all of our strategies is not just creating content for the sake of content, but having something to send people back to as a resource so we can build the email list and then have an email automated follow-up and some kind of offers on the back end. And so for you guys, we have your famous 2x2 social media planner. And so that's really like the hub of where we send people to. But then once they sign up, you're doing your master classes and webinars using video for that to add that extra value and teaching people once they sign up, once they're on the list. And then you're going live every week and putting out valuable, engaging content, which we then put into our ad campaign so that we're making sure not just, organically you go live or you post a video, any content, it's going to be limited reach, right? So to make sure we're reaching more people, we're taking your regular cadence of high quality content and making sure that we're getting it in front of as many people as possible. And so once people get engaged into the Cami ecosystem, they start seeing you more and more. Your face is more familiar, your voice, you're building that relationship through those videos. And I think that's really such an awesome thing for modern businesses to be able to do today. For even when you are running ads, it's a couple dollars a day or something like that. Like compared to, I was on a call this morning where we were talking about video conferencing 10, 20 years ago. Like it cost $50,000 to do what we're doing right now. Right. So to not just,
believe me, I'm not spending $50,000.
Yeah,
I can promise you that.
Yeah, like you do this with the webcam that's on your laptop and go live directly on Facebook. We're using StreamYard, which we both love, and they do have a free tier, but you can just open Facebook and go live directly from there on your phone or your computer. You don't need a budget for major equipment and things like that to get started. And that's also a part of what I love about social media in general is that I was on another show that I go on a lot is the On Air Brands Live show, which everybody should check out. We go live once a week. I'm a recurring character on the show, and last week we talked about the power of riffing on a topic. And honestly, it came up literally. We were in the broadcast room of StreamYard, and someone was like, "What are we talking about today?" Like, we don't have a topic yet. And I was like, let's just riff. I'm like, actually, let's make the topic riffing. And what I love about social media and the idea of riffing is that it gives you the ability to practice creating content regularly. And especially if you're doing it organically and you're small, there's not a big risk to just putting out what you want to say and seeing what gets traction, right? And so we liken this to stand-up comedians. So you see a stand-up comedian do a 60-minute special on Netflix, and it's flawless. They're super confident. Everybody's laughing at all the punchlines. And you're like, man, this person is just an amazing presenter and comedian, right? But that's not how it comes together. How it comes together is going to the clubs, 3 different clubs every night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? Like giving their 10-minute bits to 17 people who are, half interested in what they're talking about.
Half asleep.
And what they do is they're iterating. They're going out. They're putting their ideas in front of people. When it works, they put a star next to that, and that gets put into what will be the 60-minute special. And when it flops, it doesn't. And they test and they change their punchlines and delivery. And they're able to do this by doing this regularly to smaller audience. And just one, they're practicing their own delivery, but also they're learning this live feedback loop. And so putting live video or just putting content out on a regular basis will help you with understanding, like, one, getting better at being on live video, because I know a lot of people have that hesitation. But 2, it helps you realize what kind of ideas are interesting to your audience. It'll help you get found by more people by being consistent. And then you start putting these things out, and then you can stack them up. And over time, over a couple of weeks, you say, all right, let me look back and see what were the ideas that really resonated with people. Let me stack them together. And instead of a 50-second or 2-minute social media video, now you have 3 or 4 good 5-minute segments to put into a 30-minute high-value video that can be something worth creating a lead magnet on, where people will sign up to watch that, right?
No, it's true. And that I think what you're saying there is so good, because I've always said that I fail so other people don't have to. And that's really what the thing is you put yourself out there. I can't tell you. I mean, we've been live streaming social media breakfast. I don't know. I'd have to like scroll back, but it's 5 years or more. We've been streaming it for a very long time. And when I first started streaming it, I remember I didn't have a mic. I didn't have really a camera. We just opened up the laptop and started it at Canopy, all the places went at the time. And people were like, can't hear you online. And it was terrible. It was truly terrible. It was truly terrible. And, I bought a mic, and then somebody'd say, well, now you need lights. We can't see you. So then I bought lights, but I didn't buy them all in the same day or even in the same year. Like, we kind of moved it out over time. And so I think that it's okay to build upon what you have. And I love what you're saying. I don't recommend you go live without having something specific to say that has
Right.
value to it. So I do
Right.
recommend that you have something
Oh,
that you're
yeah.
going to deliver, like some
Yeah.
sort of value. So that would be
Absolutely.
number one. Do you agree with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. You definitely want to have an idea, and depending how long you want to go for, if it's 45 seconds, maybe you do just have that one seed of an idea. If you do want to go for 2 or 3 minutes, then, maybe you have the top line and then 2 or 3 talking points that you want to stay on track with. But yeah, just, getting your stuff out and practicing, you're practicing your own skills and getting that live feedback, I think is really what's super awesome about being able to do this. So, Myra, I see asking, do you go live on personal page or business Facebook page? So there's 2 ways to do this, right? Like, one, where's your audience? Like, if you have a business page that has 7 likes on it, you can go live, but is anyone going to see that unless you put any kind of budget behind it? Do you want to go live on your personal page? Well, is your personal page like, your 300 friends and family that, you really are not related to your business whatsoever? Then, that's probably not the place to do it either. So knowing where your audience is, and if you are just starting off, so to say that if your Facebook personal page is just like friends and family, then going live about your business, other than to like clue them in, like, hey, here's what I'm up to, if anyone, support me, etc. But go live on your business page. And if it is small, the great thing is that's a lot lower risk of like, oh, well, if you stutter or mess up, then it's not that big a deal. And if it does go well and you want to reach more people, then you go in and you put $5 or $10 behind it for a video view campaign. And then you can reach, 500 people when you do something like that.
And also, Todd, go live. And I personally think you should go on your business page because you're building that. That's your asset, right? So you're building that business page. And admittedly, you can do things like embed it and stuff like that on your
and then when people and then another thing, which I want to circle back to, embedding your Facebook video on your website is also super cool, because when you have a video on your page, you can then target people with ads going forward based on how much of your videos they watched. And that works if it's embedded on your site too. So you can actually drive traffic to your site from anywhere. And if that Facebook video is embedded there, you can then retarget people going forward if they watched 10 seconds, 3 minutes, 50%, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So,
and you can share it to your personal page,
right,
which also gets those pixels. So talk about the pixel. So I think, and I actually called you up, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and I said, I'm thinking about going live on Instagram. And you said, go live on Facebook instead. So could you kind of talk to me about 2 things, the pixel and sort of how, if you're thinking about Instagram versus Facebook, why Facebook was better? I thought that was an interesting point too.
Yeah. So the pixel is something that you put on your website. It's a little thing, you copy and paste it. It's a technical aspect, but it's not difficult. Right. Yeah. And what that does is anyone who visits a page on your site now, they will be quote unquote pixeled by Facebook. And that means that they're tracked. So now you can show ads to them going forward. So when you guys, everyone's familiar with the idea now of, you visit a website and then you start seeing their ads all over the place. That's because, that website is tracking with a pixel so that they can show more content to you in the future. And then the same thing, so not specifically the pixel, but with video views, when someone is watching your video, Facebook is keeping track of that as well. So it knows who's watching what videos, and then it'll be able to show, then you can use that to your advantage as people that you're able to target going forward. And when you go live on Instagram, if it's live and it doesn't live there, you're not going to have as much granular control over what you can do going forward, right? It lives on Instagram there, and it doesn't really become an asset that you can reuse as much.
Well, and the cool thing is that if you go live on Facebook, you can send it over to Instagram too. There are some ways that you can manage that. So I love Instagram so much, but that was the one thing I was kind of wanting to grow that. So I'm like, how do I grow that? And we are growing Instagram. We are growing Instagram with all of the stuff that we're doing, especially with our lead magnets and other things like that. We're growing Instagram. Yeah. So it's interesting to me. So let me start from the beginning. So every Thursday I go live on my Cammie's Smart Social Secrets page. I've kind of taken the break for the last couple of weeks because election, I was like, let's stay out of this. So most every Thursday morning I'll go live about 9 o'clock and on a topic around social media, like a strategy or a tactic or whatever. And I talk through it. And then, Todd will put a ad on that brings more people to see it,
Mhm.
right? Todd, is that the
Yep.
next step?
Yep.
And then those people will be pixeled, as you said.
Yeah.
And then when we run our ads for the lead magnet, which is the 2x2, which is my free teaching you how to like grow an audience 2x2, that is sent out to both new audiences as well as pixeled audiences as well. We
Yep.
call them cold and warm audiences. So there's a
Yep.
cold audience and a warm audience. Can you explain that a little bit, how you do that?
Yeah. So, one of my mantras is that we don't sell to strangers, right? And we like to build up an audience. And even with a lead magnet, we're still giving free value in exchange for their email address, right? We don't just run ads to complete strangers that say, hey, come buy our $1,000 or whatever, right? Like we want to build up a relationship first and have them familiar with us before we start presenting them with sales offers. And so that's where the weekly engaging content comes into play. And we run that to an audience based on interest targeting. That's what we call a cold audience. They're not familiar yet with our brand. And once they watch some of that video, now we move them into a bucket we call the warm audience. And so that's people who have visited the site and they've been pixeled, right? They've watched a little bit of one of our videos.
Was it 3 seconds or more, or what do you do?
Yeah, I think we may do through plays, which is 12 seconds. There's different strategies for different reasons and different times in the business, but
we're talking about mine. So I just want to walk them through.
Yeah. So I think we're running through plays, which is 12 seconds. So it's not somebody who just like flipped through and did something happen over there? That 3 seconds played and then, but it's someone who's at least paused their actions and watched for a little bit. So they're interested. And so that moves them into the warm campaigns where now we can start showing them more of our stuff and they become more familiar. And then they're more likely to want to sign up for the things that we're putting out, whether that be the free stuff or the paid stuff that we start promoting,
And I think at this point, I'm getting like 5 to 10 signups to the email list every single day. Every single day. We've grown that email list, which is a different list than say like what I send to you guys. It's a different list. We've grown it to 2,000. I think we started in May and it's now at 2,500, almost 20. I'm sure it's at 2,500 today. I haven't checked in the last day or two.
Yeah. It's really, it's a great way. Like I said, you have great content and you have a great lead magnet with the 2x2. And so when we amplify that to the right people, it works, right? And so, but if we had a crappy offer or you weren't putting out good content, then nobody would be clicking or paying attention. So it starts with making sure that you have good stuff.
And I'll grab the link to the 2x2 in case you guys want to go through the funnel. You don't have to stay in it, but like you can at least see how it goes because there's an email side of this too. So why don't you talk about how you get them from like watching a stray video on Facebook to being like in your email list. I think that's the most magical part about this whole thing.
So, like I said, we always want to have a hub where it's not content for content's sake, but it's content for a customer journey. So we want to connect with people based on what they're thinking about and the conversation that they're having in their mind. And we want to add value. And then we want to have them take that next step in the relationship. And, in most cases, that means signing up for a free lead magnet that puts them on our email list. And then Cami has an automated sequence that drips out. And so what we're doing is when someone watches one of these videos, they're telling us that's a signal that they're interested in this topic. And so now we know if you're interested in this topic of engaging social media and how to plan out your social media, how to be online and all that kind of stuff. Well, then a very logical next step is like, hey, now it's time. You're clearly interested in this topic and solving these problems. Take the next step and download our free template here and our free guide on how you can start doing this. So it gives you, special instructions on how to do everything. And that's really like, we're building a pool of people who are interested in the topic because of the content we're putting out. And then we're presenting them with a logical next step. And that's what I call our seamless sign up strategy is like always remembering like where we ultimately want to take someone is into the Smart Social Secrets course, which is all about learning how to do social media for your business. And so before that, what would make sense for them to get as a smaller piece and lower commitment, it's the 2x2 strategy, which is a free lead magnet. And then before that, let's make sure all the content that we're talking about aligns with the 2x2 lead magnet and growing your social media audience and growing your social media impact. And so making sure that, because if you started making videos about, PR or SEO or other stuff like that, there's no reason someone who's going to watch a video about how to get featured in Forbes is then going to click and want to sign up for a 2x2 social media growth plan, right? Like those two things don't line up. So something that's super important for everybody is like, make sure the content you're creating is aligned with your lead magnet, which is aligned with what you want to sell. Because then also if you're building a list of people interested in a specific topic, if that topic isn't what you ultimately sell to them, then, that's going to be a lot of wasted effort. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so I do kind of have like a list of kind of content breakdown of the customer journey that I'd love to share with everybody.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
And the way that you can think about executing this is kind of like starting small and going live and practicing these in little bits, like we talked about, like the stand-up comedian does, and get your feedback. Go through that as a trial run. And then once you know what works, then you can create a more polished long form version that stacks together all the things that worked. And from that one long form video that you have, you can then clip out everything and use that in your social media campaigns as the customer journey, right? So what we want to do is think about all the different topics that people need to think about when they're buying something. Like, how do we first connect with them and get their attention? And a lot of this comes down to actually brain science. And there's three parts of our brain, and they all operate in sequential order to keep us alive and surviving, like all the way back to when we were cavemen, right? And so the first part of our brain is the reptilian brain. And that the job of our reptilian brain is to just continuously scan our environment for problems, danger, or opportunities. And when it's doing that, like if it has three automatic responses to choose from. Do I eat this? Do I run from it? Or do I mate with it? Right? Like those are the three core things that our brain is trying to figure out.
Okay?
Yeah. And so the reason I bring that up, and like I said before, is that we don't sell to strangers. Is people are trained to put their guard up and run away from a sales message if they're not in the right frame of mind. So if we try to go out to strangers and we sell, their automatic response is guard up, I'm running away. And so think when you realize that it's literally wired into our DNA to run away from those types of messages. So what is it that we want to start with? Is that we want to start with content that will be valuable for them, where they want to consume it. They want to eat it, right? Like they see this as, oh, this is a valuable resource I need to consume. And so starting off with highlighting, the problems that someone's going through, because that's going to be familiar and it'll catch their attention, right? That's our reticular activating system. It's looking for things that are familiar.
Yes, it's like when you buy a car and all of a sudden you see the car everywhere.
Right.
It's not that there's more cars like that. It's just that your brain now can see them because I love the we call it the RAS.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Activating system.
Yep. Exactly. And so we want to be able to show up on their radar, right? And so the problems that they're experiencing, or the questions they're thinking about, the topics they're searching Google for, or talking to their friends, right? Like that's what we want to start with, and calling those things out, right? And so like in Cammie's case, I forget exactly what the copy says, but it's like, I think one of the ads that works really well is it starts off with just a stop emoji, and it says stop, and now all of a sudden our brain automatic responses to stop, and so that jars them out of their mindless scroll. And then we say, something like, do you want to build your social media audience, or are you struggling to build your social media audience? And so that as a topic, if it resonates with them, we've caught their attention, and now they are automatic response. Yes, this is something I want to consume because it's going to help me solve a problem, right? And then from there,
they can see the ads that we're running by going to the my Cammie Chat, my Smart Social Secret Facebook page. I can also put a link for that in there. And then in the transparency part of a page, I don't know if you know that, but
this is a great hack for everybody.
This is super cool. You can go in, and maybe I'll pull that up while you're talking, and I could show them where it is. Yeah. But you can actually go and see what ads other people are running, and then kind of get an idea of what's working. Yeah. I was shocked at what worked. I mean, I think the ad that works for me is an ugly ad. I don't know what to say it, how to say it any better.
And it's not that and it's funny because when we launched with a bunch of different tests and stuff.
Beautiful.
And,
Katie,
we had
Katie
nice
made
stuff.
some beautiful ads.
Yep. And that's why you always have to test things, because you never, even like, look, between the two of us, we're pros in this for a long time, and you just never know what's going to work. So you have to test different ideas and angles and approaches to see what's really going to stick. But yeah, that's a great hack to check out. Any Facebook page that's running ads, if you go to their page and you scroll down, there's a little thing called page transparency. And from there, you can click on ads library and see all the ads that they're actively running. And a quick tip on to see, like, that just because they're running ads doesn't mean the ads are working.
No, that's true.
So something to pay attention to is how long. So it should usually have the date. I think they're organized by month that they launched. So if you see stuff that's been launched a long time ago, then you know that that's probably something that's working, right? But
it's still working,
yeah. So our first kind of pieces of content that we want to create are those problem-focused messages that are educational, and they show that this is something you want to consume, not run away from, right? So keep that in mind. Some good stuff to hit on with that is common mistakes that people are making, common misconceptions that people have around your type of product or service or solution. What they should put value on and why, right? Like, so a lot of times we'll get calls and conversations with potential clients who are asking for something that just doesn't make sense. So they've had the misconception that, we need new client, or like ultimately they need new clients, right? And they come to us and they say, can you run a campaign? We want more Facebook likes. And I'm like, well, that's a misconception. And you've put too much weight on Facebook likes, when here's what you should be paying attention to, and put more value on these other things. And then based on that, it will help you achieve your objectives, right? So taking, that kind of approach of like, help educate them on what should they be valuing and why. And then, looking at, depending on your industry, like there's old ways of doing things versus new ways of doing things, right? People are attractive to novel ideas. So, old versus new, and then any kind of high level tips, like, the page transparency thing. Like if you're getting into social media marketing, that's a cool tip to give somebody. And so that's kind of the reptilian brain that's on auto response, looking for those things. The next part of our brain is the mammalian brain. And that's our emotional brain, where we are paying attention to stories. We're placing our values, and we're judging things based on how we feel. And so that's where we want to really go through stories and highlight pain points that our customers are having, and really paint a picture of the desired outcome that they want to transform into, right? And so putting those pieces together between the stories, the pains, and the desires, that's how we connect with that emotional brain. So we've gotten their attention. We've told them this is something good to consume, not run away from. Next, we want to start talking to them about, on the emotional side, and create that emotional connection. And then the next part of our brain is the neocortex. And that's what they call the executive brain, or the smart part of the brain. And that part of the brain is what reasons and rationalizes. And so that's where we want to justify the emotions we just created. So we've told stories, and we've made a connection here, and they feel like they want what we have. They want to take the next step. But now let's checks and balances in our brain. Like, hold up.
Exactly.
Does this make sense? Can we justify this with logic? And so that's where we want to have some content that has proof, right? We want to show proof of, here's other people have done this. Other people like you have done this. And here's some statistics, here's some data, right? We want to give them logical reasons that they can justify their emotions to move forward with, right? And so that's kind of the part where, we demonstrate our expertise. We show case studies or customer testimonials. We give third-party credibility, where, I'm a part of these organizations. I'm a part of these associations. I'm a licensed professional. I'm certified in this, or, I've been featured here and there by other people. Right. So giving them the logic to justify their emotions there.
Yeah. It's interesting you're saying this, because I want to just really quickly stop and give a framework that I think it kind of talks to what you're talking about. It's something that my own speaking coach has given me as a framework that really works well. And what it is you start with a story, which is the heart. Like you bring people in with that sort of emotional catch or hook or whatever. It doesn't have to be super emotional. It just has to be something like the stop sign that gets their attention and makes them know that you're like them, but also you figured something out that they want to figure out. And then you move from that to what he calls the brain or the head. And that's where you teach something really quick, like no more than 3 points at the most. I mean, real quick, you teach something. And then you come back to a transitional close where you're kind of going into that and you kind of give them what they call the hands, which is like, this is how you can like do it for yourself, whether it's with you. That could either be a sales thing, or it could be a free thing, or it could be what next step you want them to take. It's a call to action. And then after the call to action, go back to the heart and tell about why you're doing what you're doing, so that people trust you, so that they understand that you're doing what you're doing for this reason. So that appeals to all the people that might be watching you. It appeals to the head people and the heart people. Some people buy based on their emotions, their gut. Some people need facts and information. So I think that what you're saying here is so valuable. Like, guys, what Todd just gave you is gold as far as how your brain works. If you can learn how to do this, it's going to be like a game changer for your business, I think. So, and for your companies and for wherever you work, whether it's your business or the one you work for, it's a game changer.
Yeah. And so, the next part is kind of objection handling. And so once you get familiar with your audience and you've gotten a lot of questions about like, oh, that sounds good, but maybe it won't work. Maybe it won't for me. Handling those objections, right? So knowing what people are going to come up with as their own excuses, and being able to respond to those ahead of time with your content, helps make those conversations easier. And then the next thing is what you just said, how he brings it back to the heart again after the call to action is where we want to humanize our relationship, right? We don't, even if you are a company, a large company, you still want to have a humanized approach and create those kind of personal-ish connections. And so having, using social and videos to show behind the scenes, to show your origin stories, or lifestyle of your audience type of people and how you're involved in that, in how you're involved in your community and all those kind of things. And so bringing it back again, humanizing, creating that connection, like you said. And then from there, we have what we call our hand raisers, which are kind of calls to action, which, like you said, whether that's for something free, whether it's for something paid, even whether it's just a comment below and tell us your thoughts. But whatever it is you're putting out, we always want to have that clear next step. So putting out a piece of something valuable, and then even if your next step is like, share this with someone, or which one of these 3, like you said, give 3 tips on something, which one of these 3 tips did you find valuable, or, what would you add to this, or whatever your next step, you want to always be constantly kind of making sure you tie in a call to action. And then, even if it's just engagement stuff, right? So putting out content that's educational is great. And then putting out stuff that's just engagement, where, hey, there's 3 types of such and such. Which one of these is, makes the most sense to you, or which one do you resonate with most? Or coming up with just simple, punchy questions and topics that will get people to like, comment, and share, because, don't sell to strangers. We're not stepping up to the plate and hitting a home run on the first pitch. Like, it does take a lot of touch points and a full customer journey. And so you want to make sure that you are continuously engaging them along that relationship. And then some other tips on things you can put out is, tools and resources are always good topics to talk about that people are interested in. And then another good thing that I like to tie into a regular cadence is industry news or trends, and then putting that into the framework of, here's what's happening in the industry. Here's how it could affect you. Here's what you should do about it and how you should think about it. And then if it makes sense based on whatever that topic is, giving them that next step. Like, social media exploded this year. That trend isn't a secret, but are you taking advantage of it? It's something you need to be able to do. What you should do is make sure you have a plan for your social media content so that you're growing your following intentionally. And so if it makes sense, you should check out our 2x2 free guide, because that will help you grow, right? So now we've spoken to this industry trend and news. We've tied in what it means to them, that they're going to get left behind if they're not up on it. And what you should be doing is growing your audience. If you need help with that, here's our next step, right? And so tying in the news and trends is an easy way to come up with good stuff as well.
And once they do take that next step and they get on your email list, then that becomes the next step. And I know there's a lot of steps here, guys, for actually making this work. So we've gone, I'm just going to reiterate so we know where we're at in this thing. And we're going to talk about this for just a few more minutes, and then we're going to open up to questions. So start thinking about what your questions are. but really, we talked about a flywheel. So
Yeah.
could we talk a little bit about that flywheel concept, Todd, before
Yeah.
we kind of finish up here and get to questions?
Yeah. So we've just kind of walked through like, okay, you can go live regularly and create this type of content based on these stepping stones that we just laid out. So now that we've kind of done that and you have an idea of like, okay, here's the things that are working, here's how I want to say these things. Well, now let's create, like we said, like let's create that long form video. So now let's make a 30-minute video. You have, based on what you've done, you have your topics and ideas, you know the questions people are asking you when you're putting these out. So now you can outline that thing and you can do it as a live stream, which, guys, secret, I'm doing it right now. And so you can make a long form 30, 45-minute video that goes through all those things. So now you have this one really great piece of content. And now that flywheel happens where now let's take this 30-minute video, put it behind a sign-up page. So now you have a lead magnet, and now you or your team can take each snippet of your more direct and polished presentation of all those topics. And now you have 17 pieces of social media content that can go out onto Instagram and Facebook. And really it can be even more, because you could take the 35-second video snippet, or you could take a graphic and put a quote card on it, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of different ways you can take a video and turn it into different pieces. And you can take those 5-minute segments and put them into YouTube videos and Facebook videos, which you can embed on a blog post and then turn into an actual article, just outlining exactly what was talked about in the video. Obviously, using Zeotag makes that even cooler because it has the table of contents people can search and click through. But again, not necessary. So the flywheel becomes, you've kind of practiced, you did your riffing, you went through your rough drafts and your Tuesday night performances at the Comedy Cellar. Now you come out, you do your 30-minute special, and that becomes the hub of, now we can put these into true campaigns. And as you're publishing those videos become, like we said, if we want to amplify, you can take that first section of your long video that speaks to the problems and audience, make that a video views campaign to build your warm audience. And then you can retarget them with all the rest of those pieces of that long form video. You can take all those, like we said, you put them onto your blog post, which so now when someone signs up for your email list, you can drip out all these different articles and link them over to your blog post, so they're staying within your ecosystem, and really using that one video it becomes the lead magnet, it becomes your blog post, it becomes your social media post. And ultimately what happens is really you take one 45-minute block of conversation, like what we're doing right now, and you turn that into a whole customer journey that's on YouTube, Facebook, email, Instagram, Google search, if you're running, putting them on your blog post and optimizing them for SEO. So you've taken this one video and created a whole flywheel effect of being everywhere. And while it does sound like a lot, if you think about it's 17 pieces of content that you did in one shot in a 35-minute, 45-minute talk. Now all of a sudden, compared to an entire year's worth of marketing that you're on this hamster wheel instead of a flywheel, churning stuff out, like, it becomes so much more effective and efficient to be able to do those things. And what I love about and this is what I also love about doing guest opportunities like this and live streaming is, we could do these live streams small every day, but then I come up with, this is something that I want to turn into a workshop. And so I did social media riffs over the last month on different things that I want to talk about, which helped me articulate what I wanted to say today and get some feedback. Now we're doing this and I'm getting live feedback. I see what questions people are asking. So I know that I need to start including those things in the presentation. And then now I'm going to plan out a full workshop, which will be, several hours of a course and downloadable assets. So you can plan your strategy and all that kind of stuff. So you guys have actually been like my crowdsourced dry run. And so, it becomes, when you have this mentality, you just stick to this topic, get comfortable creating content and getting feedback and being engaging. And it turns into what becomes something that can ultimately be used for years and years to come when, depending on what kind of business you're in, but, making an evergreen topic out of this, planning your content strategy and video and social, that's not going anywhere for a long time. And so I just turned what we had as a 45-minute thing today into a workshop that's going to become a product for me, where I really get into the weeds and help people with execution on this stuff. All because I got out there, I went live, I'm listening to the feedback and hearing the questions people are asking. So
it's really powerful. In fact, when we talked about this, I asked Todd, what are we going to talk about? Because he could talk about video, he could talk about Facebook ads. And we had this discussion. We had it pretty openly. I said, why don't you do something you want to do next? And he said, oh, I've got this thought. And so this was the thought he had. And I said, let's do it. Let's get this done. And then he can take this and move it on. So this is sort of how we help each other. It's good to have people that you can, bounce things off of that are in your inner circle. That's one of the things that really works well. So the other thing I was going to say is that I was going to show you my screen, and it's going to do this weird thing because I didn't set up screen sharing today because I didn't know we were going to do it. So hold on a minute. It's going to have this really funny thing that happens, and then don't worry about it. I will fix it like immediately. It's going to zoom out on us. But I want to show you what that looks like on the back end through the transparency on my site so that you can see what's going on. Am I like frozen?
No, you're not frozen, but I'm not seeing the screen yet.
Yeah, it's doing something weird. I might not be able to do it. It's doing something weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, we do have a question. So Nick had a question about what kind of products does this funnel work for? And I may have to restart myself. So could you answer that question while I because I'm frozen on my end.
Okay, no problem. All right. So really, like this is human psychology is how we map out our customer journey. And so those things that we talked about today, I mean, if your customers have a human brain, right, then they have this reptilian, mammalian, which I'm probably not saying right, and neocortex. And so making sure you're touching on those things is really important for whatever it is that you're selling. Those are the stages that people are going to go through when they're thinking about buying your product. And so it really is strategically something that should be working for you, whatever industry or product that you sell, is to put things in this type of sequence and order. But again, back to the question originally where Cami asked, like, where should you be live streaming your videos? It's really based on where your audience is. So think about, like, if your audience is, landscapers who don't go on the computer at all, then you're probably not going to be have a great impact if you're trying to do live video, unless you know that they are, something going to a community online. And I think what's great in those scenarios is that, especially 2020 made this, this accelerated this opportunity. But if you do have an audience that there isn't a place online yet for them to congregate as a community, that's an opportunity for you to be the host and creator of the community for your target audience. So I think it works really for any different types of industries. You need to have this content sequence, whether it's delivered online, offline, phone, door to door, at a live event, whatever it is. But from a strategy standpoint, it's something that you want to be thinking about having the touch points to do this with. And then obviously using digital helps you reach people online, but also helps you do it at scale in a one-to-many fashion, right? Like you could go door to door trying to have these conversations, but you're going to cap out really quickly, as opposed to using digital to really maximize the scale of your impact. Let me know if that helps answer your question there, Nick. We had another question I highlighted earlier too from, I'm definitely not going to say this right, but Montserrat. Miss Buffington. So she says, we're a large association that covers different topics that affect our members. Our business page is members only because it's a perk. Do you think that sending out a survey to members would help figure out topics? Absolutely. If you have an existing audience that you can survey, 100% you want to survey them and get that question out and say, what is it? It could be a one question survey. Hey, what's your biggest struggle right now? Or it could be multiple choice, and you can give them, if you have a couple directions you want to go in. But absolutely, if you have an audience that you can survey, do it.
Right. And I will tell you, best thing is not to ask them, what do you want to hear about? Because most of the time people won't be able to answer that question. I've just found that they won't answer it. So having like, what would you rather hear first of these three things that you think that they might want to hear? And then I think that would be a good start on that.
Yeah.
And if you do that in little pieces, it's interesting. I use ConvertKit, which is my email system. It allows me to ask a question. And then if you click on it, it'll put you in a list. So it'll actually take you and segment your audience. So depending on your email service, you might want to check if you can get that done too, because that's cool too. Like which one of these three things is most interesting to you right now? And then click. And then all of a sudden you have a list of all the people who are interested in that specific thing. And then you can send out something just to that audience, just to that specific group. So that's really great question and great answer. I'm going to share my screen now real quick because I finally can. Sorry, it took me a minute here. So the ad library, I don't know if it's going to actually show, is graying out. There we are. Hi.
Oh, there we go.
See, we're
You see the
endless, endless. I'm not sure if it's actually, it's still taking a minute. Sorry, guys. I'll have to wait until it actually resolves. Tell you what, technology, so fun.
Yeah.
Trying to get my computer to do more things than it wants to do in one day.
Yeah.
But I do want you to see it because I think I was looking at it a second ago, and they've been running since June and July. 2 videos and 2 ads that have been running since June and July. And we've run other ads too since then. But these, the videos are 2 like live stream videos, like just like I did, that are getting people into the ecosystem. And then the 2 ads are getting them onto the 2x2 that we talked about, which I think is really helpful to get people there, because then they will be on your list. And once they're on your list, it is a little bit of a grind because you do have to get stuff out to them. And some people will say, well, I don't want to bother people. And I was like that too. But I just don't worry. If people unsubscribe from your list, it's normal. I mean, I don't hold it against anybody to unsubscribe. But if I can help somebody, if I can help people with their social media and move it forward for them, help them, and really just share the things that we're learning day to day, working in the trenches with like huge clients that we work with. I want to do that. So that's my purpose right now. So you got to also get over yourself a little bit, I think. What do you think about that, Todd?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if a thing that I think about is like the consequences of people not getting your help. And because you were so selfish that you didn't want to send an email, a couple people might unsubscribe to, but what about the 100 other people that are going to read it and get value? If they don't get the value from that, then, that's on you for not delivering it, and you could have. And so I think about that often is the consequence of not helping and serving people. Right. And I think that's important for people that are, especially in expert businesses, and you want to have an impact, to take that as a responsibility and really take it seriously. And I think, you touched on another great point, is that these have been running since June. And
I have them now. I can do it now.
I think that the idea of needing to post all the time, coming up with content ideas all the time, because you have to do these things organically, is something that gets people overwhelmed and they don't even start. But like I said, like really, when we break this down, if we're talking about you have 17 good social media posts, that's not a lot of work compared to when you think about like the idea of you have to post every week and come up with ideas, or you need to do all these posts every day or these things. And then once you do this, and like I said, you go out and you get traction, you see like what's working, you spend a couple dollars and see what's working. Once it's working, it works for a long time, right? So we didn't launch these in June and then we closed the door on it. Like, we're watching these every week. I pop in a couple times a week, but we're reviewing these on a weekly basis to make sure that they're still working effectively, and they are. And so once you get your audience dialed in and your message dialed in, like, squeeze all the juice out of that. Like, don't turn things off because it's been a month. Like, if they're still working and reaching and bringing new people into your world, like, let it run and scale it up, depending on what your goals are. So I think that's super important too, is like, it only takes one good ad and one good lead magnet to really start growing your list consistently. Like you said, 5-10 new signups every day that we're getting. It's like clockwork. And we're not, could we be continuously launching 10 new ads every week and testing different things and scaling? Yeah, but that's not the objective of the business that we're working on right now. We're really like, we found something that works and we're doing it, like they say, building a successful business is all about the boring stuff, right? Like,
kind of is, actually.
And so once you get that figured out, dialed in audience, message, and offer, like, then that's when it becomes clockwork.
Yeah. And then again, like, you can find this, by the way. So here's the page that I run everything off of. It's called Smart Social Secrets. Facebook.com/Cami Huyse, Huyse is kind of how you find it. It's my personal fan page, I guess you could call it. But if you go down on the side of the page, and you're seeing I'm logged in as the admin, obviously, but what you're going to see at the very bottom of any page is called Page Transparencies down here. And you just click on See All. And when you do that, you're going to be able to open that up, and then you can go to the ad library. And I just showed you with the ad library, it'll launch you to this page and it'll show you those ads. And interestingly enough, the 2 ads that are working is one where I told you the biggest mistake I ever made. That one's working really well. And the other one is really about how to build it's more general, like about how to build your business and talking about a challenge coming up and stuff. And then these down here, honestly, are not the most beautiful ads that we made. It kind of irritates me that these work.
Yep.
I have to be honest.
Totally, I mean, it's, it's like, it's not the kind of stuff that we like to put on the portfolio page of like, because when someone doesn't know that it's all based on the data and what's working, but say like, oh yeah, we run social media ads, and they say, oh, well, let me see some of your work. And you show something like this, they're like, what, what is that? And so, but that's, it comes down to like what's going to work and get people moving forward. So
I'm like a rock concert with heart hands. I don't know. I really don't know why it works, guys. I really don't. I still don't understand it. But I do think it's an interesting thing. I'm going to take that out. Sorry. I do think it's an interesting thing. So does anybody have any other questions? I'd love to hear from anybody else here.
Drop questions. We do have a couple more minutes, and I want to circle back to Nick's question because I answered it as you asked it, and now that I'm reading what he wrote on the second part, I want to revisit. So
okay, let's go there.
What kind of products does it work with? I answered that before. The sequence here should really work with anything, and how you reach them is based on where your audience is and lives. But the second part of the question here, you've heard that you need to have a suite of products, including high ticket for the end of the funnel, and ultimately, like where you want to get your business, you should have a suite of products that, has different price points and everything like that. But you don't need that to get started, right? Like, so where it depends on the stage of your business, on what you need. And like, if you're starting totally from scratch, then, but if you're starting from scratch, like what's your financial runway and what are your financial goals? If you need to make $100,000, it's easier to get 10 sales at $10,000 than it is to get 100,000 sales at $1, or, so you kind of have to do the math based on the stage of your business. But like, ultimately where you want to get to, and someone who's really great that Kimmy and I both love her content is Emily Hirsch. And she has a great podcast once or twice a week talking about ads specifically. And, she says like that holds a lot of people up is that they think they have to have the $7, $27, $97, $9.97, $49.97, $99.97. Like, if you look at a complete picture of like what Russell Brunson does, he has $100 million business that he started, however many years ago, like, there are those different parts of the puzzle, but to get started, you don't need all those parts. Like you just need, whatever.
Actually, in some ways it's better not to, because part of the problem with having too much going on, and I tried it too. Okay. So I'm just as bad. Like I've tried it. One of the things I tried to do was sell it sold really well, but a challenge. I'd sell the challenge and then get the people from the challenge into the course. But that didn't really work. I mean, it worked, but I didn't get enough people in the challenge. So what I found out is it took just as much effort to sell the challenge as it took to sell the course. So unless you have the wherewithal, and I have a team, I have a team, Nick. I have a team. My team's in this, and believe me, after I ran 2 courses, they're like, Uncle, can we like just take a break? And I'm like, we did. But I just feel like you can overdo it, and you want to add things as you go rather than try to have this entire product.
And look, and the truth is, the more variables there are, the more things are going to go wrong. And the harder it is to figure out what's wrong and how to fix it, right? And so that's why we always start with like, hypothetically, like 1 ad, 1 lead magnet, 1 follow-up funnel. And now we know if we're not getting sales, did we get enough people through the lead magnet? No. Well, did we get enough traffic to the lead magnet? No. Well, then that means the ad's not working. So how do we improve the ad? That's what's broken, not the offer. Or we're getting the ads really working well and we're getting a lot of clicks over to the site, but we're not getting anyone signed up for the lead magnet. Well, that means there's something broken on the landing page that we need to fix from a messaging standpoint or whatever. Or if we're getting a lot of people signed up on the list, but not a lot of sales, then like, okay, we need to fix that piece. And there's 3 pieces to that, right? But if you have $7 thing that you're running this and you're doing, and you're trying to run a course and a challenge. And by the way, we also have the agency with services and all that stuff.
Right.
So it's like, what's working and what's not. It takes so long to untangle, to just troubleshoot, let alone actually work on making improvements. So keeping it simple until you have something that's predictable is definitely what you want to do first.
But it's working great on my side. So like you get them to that page. And Christina actually has a good question. She was asking if there are ads. Yes, we're talking about ads as a piece of this. It doesn't, you don't have to run ads. Ads just multiply what's happening. And if something is working and you get it working, like you have a live stream, you have a lot of people attending, and then they go to your lead page and they sign up for your course or whatever. In the case of, let's just take social media breakfast, which I don't sell anything here. You know, we have these events, and then people come back over and over again. I have a lot of you on a mailing list. I'm not going to say I'm really great at promoting the mailing list all the time. Probably should. Maybe Katie, if you go grab the mailing list link, which is in the about section, and put it in the comments right now, that would be helpful. But what will happen is now I'm building that list. And so the next time I have an event, more people come and more people come. And I've done that for 11 years now, and it's worked really well, right? So you don't have to put ads on it, but those ads that you saw were ads that I'm running on my funnel right now. There's 4 of them. Some of them go to cold traffic and some of them go to warm traffic. And some to go to both. I mean, we've used those 4 ads to go to all those different audiences several times. And I spend, you know, I do spend some money on it. But the idea is that you build your overall group, and then I am going to sell them something at some point. If you're on my list, you know I occasionally send out a sales thing on that list. And if people don't want that, they just unsubscribe. I mean, I just feel like, and selling, all of you here are in different industries and things. I know some of you are nonprofits, some of you are people that have startups, some of you are people that are working for somebody. You're the social media manager for a company. Your call to action can be different. What you're trying to get them to do can always be different. But you need to have a system that gets them from, you know, getting to know who you are on social media all the way to doing something about that. And I think the problem is we try to do too much in general. Even on social media, we're trying to like do a lot. So what I've learned through Todd and through like just this experience is doing that. And now when people jump onto the 2x2 page, I think you called me last 2 weeks ago and told me what like 68%.
It was like 60, like 60 something percent of people who visit site. And just so you guys know, like 20% is usually the baseline of like, oh, if we're on 20%, we're doing good and we want to make improvements. Like we're at 60 something percent for that. So, you know, when you get your audience and offer dialed in, like that's the kind of stuff that happens. And obviously that lowers the cost of everything too, because if we spend $100 and we get 20% of people signed up, and that means we spent $100 to get, this is not the right numbers, but 100 people and we got $100 when we got 20 people, or $100 when we got 60 people, like obviously being able to dial that in and get more people on the exact same stuff is, you know,
but we've done that over 6 months. So we started with the landing page. We refined
and we also
that
started,
landing page.
and we also started with multiple audiences too, right? Like we dialed in the targeting, you know, when we first launched. I wish I knew off the top of my head when we started, but you know, it was definitely a few weeks at least where we were
or something.
Yeah, so you know, we ran for a few weeks where we were testing. You know, we tested a handful of different types of audiences that we wanted to target, and we saw what worked and what didn't. We turned off what didn't work. We turned up what did work, and you know, that's how we're at where we are today.
And by the way, the other thing you might want to know as far as social media, also you can put it in your bio, your profiles of your social media. So I have this, and this I'm going to show you what I have in the profile of my social media, both on Smart Social Secrets. I also have it on my Twitter account. I have this little Grow Your Tribe 2x2 free mini course, and then I have this link. And then people go to that link and they sign up from there. So if you want to look at the landing page, you can grab that link. I'll let it run for a minute so you can write it down. But the idea is that, you know, you get them there, you give them something they want. And then the mini course is 6 or 7 emails, and they come out every 3 days. So they tell you, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. So I don't even make them sign into a new thing. I don't make them do anything like that. And I mean, most people go through the entire sequence. It's kind of interesting. And I don't think they all do all the steps. That's the funny thing about these things, right? Do people
Yeah.
do all the steps? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not that hard of a thing, by the way. The 2x2 is really about getting out and engaging with people in real time every day. And it really is just giving you tips on how to do that and grow your audience. I've just seen time and time and time again, when people do this, people start to remember them or call them up and say, oh, I was thinking about this, and then I saw your thing, and then, I had a friend of mine that from years ago who now has an online business. He's trying to run online courses and stuff. And he saw my ad in Words with Friends.
Yeah.
In Words with Friends. Because the cool thing is when you run an ad on Facebook, it can also run out on different.
Yeah.
How does that work, Todd?
Yeah,
I don't know. How did I end up in Words with Friends?
Yeah. So they have what's called the audience network. So you can choose placements when you're running your ads. And so you could say, I just want to show up on the desktop news feed, or I just want to show up in Instagram stories, right? So those are the obvious places, Instagram spots and Facebook spots, but they also have the audience network. And so whenever you're on a website that has banner ads, 85, I think, last time I heard it, 85% of the internet, those banner ads are from either Google or Facebook. And so, that's in the apps like Words with Friends, any place that those little ads show up, those are mainly driven through Facebook and Google.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought it was funny that I ended up on Words with Friends with my friend from a long time ago. And then he reached out to me on LinkedIn and he asked me some questions, and he's very interested in the course when we run it again. So I just think, you never know where people are going to come from or where they're going to find interest. I also found it interesting that because of all the stuff I've done for Smart Social Secrets, I've had clients come out of the woodwork that I've worked with before and said, oh, Cammie, we really want you to come do this. And I think it's, I can't prove it 100%, but I would almost 100% say that they saw one of my ads and it just reminded them.
Yep.
And
100%.
even though they're clients, even though they're actual ongoing clients, it made them think of another thing that we could help them with in the agency side, which isn't even in this Smart Social Secrets online training side. So I think you'll be
to
shocked.
that end, and to that end, I have like an analogy story that I think, and we're a little over, so I don't want to keep everybody too long. But a couple years ago, we were in the office, and I had a client there. We're in the conference room. And I had one of my team members, we had a bakery next door. So she went next door and she got a box of fresh chocolate chip cookies, right? And before she left, we said, hey, Laura, bakery next door is great. Do you want, we're going to run out. Do you want some, should we get some chocolate chip cookies? Oh, yeah. That sounds good. Thanks. So she, the girl goes out, gets the cookies, comes back, puts the box on the table, on the conference table next to us, says, they're so good. I had one on the walk back, whatever, help yourself. She was part of this conversation of why we went and got them. They're put here. We said, ask, help yourself. And then it wasn't until 5-10 minutes later, literally took the box, opened it up, took one for myself and said, did you want one of these cookies? And she said, oh yeah, thank you so much. And then put her, and then she took a cookie and I had the cookie. So like she wanted it, she asked for it, but like literally we had to handhold the steps, like, and this is just, to have a cookie that was on the table.
Right.
And so, it's just a reminder that people people do need to be constantly reminded and reiterated and reassured and handheld and specifically told certain things to do. Otherwise, they won't necessarily take action. So
there's one more question that Nick has that we can, and this will be our last question. And if you guys have any other questions, I'm fine with it. You can DM me, DM the page. I actually check that stuff. Reach out to either Todd or myself if you need anything from us. But I heard social media costs were crazy prior to the election. Were you seeing that too? Has it come back to normal now?
It depends on it depends on a lot of things. So it depends on your industry, who you're targeting, because it is an auction. And it also depends on kind of the history of your account. And so we had a couple clients last week who were not starting ads last week, but went to create their ads account because they didn't have one yet. And it literally would not let them. Just like they clicked through and big red, and no reason either, just said like, you are not allowed to create an ad account. And then this week we got back together, went on did it in 5 minutes like it normally does. So if you don't have any account history, that could be a big factor. But a lot of the campaigns that we were running for long periods of time didn't see a huge spike. new campaigns that we tried launching did have very expensive
Yeah,
costs,
mine
so
was
we turned them
mine
off.
stayed the same. It feels
Yeah.
like, and I think we're at like $1.57 or something per lead at the moment.
Yeah.
It's really, I know that sounds, it's really affordable. I mean, that you have no idea how affordable that actually is. It's pretty affordable. So it's Nick, I haven't seen it, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen, because I do think they were concerned about different things. So
yeah.
All right, guys, I am going to say we're at the end here. I want to just tell you that next month we are not going to be live streaming like this. We're doing the gift of guidance. We've chosen 10 nonprofits. I'm going to announce them probably Monday morning and let you guys know. So the judges have made their judging decisions. We've picked our 10 nonprofits. We're in the midst of notifying them. So until I hear back from all of them, I don't want to announce them. And then we are going to have the gift of guidance, where all of us come together and we help nonprofits to put together a mini social media plan for next year, 2021. Can you believe it? We're going to get to 2021. It's going to happen. Unreal. This has been an unreal year, but we are going to do it on Zoom. And so we're going to do it in rooms. So we're going to Zoom room. So it's going to be cool, because we're going to be able to talk to each other and see each other. So I really, really want you guys to be involved with that. If you go to the events section of the page, you'll see that that's all set up. I do need a couple more scribes. I have my table leader set, but I need a couple more scribes. Those are the people who take notes. And it's going to be super easy this year, because you're going to be at home or at your office typing. And then that's what you just take notes on what everybody says. And then we give that to the nonprofit. Really, really important job. So if you want to do that, let me know. Either you can leave it in the comments here or send a DM to me personally or to the page. Either way, I'll make sure you get the link to sign up to be a scribe. We're also going to be putting it out via email. So earlier, if you didn't get that email thing, make sure you go back and click on it. I think also we shared it just a minute ago. So you can click on it and get it from there too. I would love to have you guys there. It's going to be amazing. We need to help each other. It's going to be a positive thing. And we'll be able to talk like face to face. That'd be so awesome. I mean, computer face to face, I guess. Also, don't forget that we have pinned at the top of the page our jobs site. So there's several jobs on there right now. So if you're looking for a job or you're looking to hire someone, please, please, please use our pinned post to promote your jobs and also look for jobs, and share it with your friends that are looking for jobs in the communications area. Marketing and communications is what we do. I think that's it. So yeah, last year it was at the Houston Chronicle. Unfortunately, COVID will not allow us to have that kind of fun this year. But hey, Nick, you could even be a part of it, because you're not here, but you could be here. So you could be a part of it this year. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. Todd, thank you so much for coming to share your knowledge with us.
Yeah, thank you for letting me work out my next Netflix special.
I love it. And I just want you to understand, even though I'm a social media expert and I'm like, do this all the time and I run ads even, I still hired someone. I hired someone to help me. Mm-hmm. So that's the other part of this, guys, is that we don't try to do everything by yourself all the time. I was actually kind of gearing up for Smart Social Secrets to run it myself. And I was absolutely drowning in all the little details. And I was like, Todd, help. I mean, I knew he could do it. So I was just like, help me, Todd. And he jumped in and did.
Countless coaches and programs like, never be afraid to ask for help on stuff, from us or anybody else. Like Michael Jordan had a coach, so.
Yeah, somebody said to me the other day, I shouldn't have to pay or be in a thing. I'm supposed to be the expert in this. So I felt weird about asking questions. And here's the thing. If you're a true expert, you're going to know that you don't know what you don't know.
Right. Yeah.
That's the truth. If you're a true expert, you're going to understand that you have to always be learning. And so that's what I love about you guys coming every month to this, because you always should be learning, and you're here, which means you're that kind of person. And that makes me super happy. I love this community so much. I cannot wait until we can get back together in real life and hang out, hug each other. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. But it looks like it's going to be next year sometime, which is fine. Yeah. So anyway, in the meanwhile, I love you all, and I will be sending out some emails about the gift of guidance. I'm probably going to have one other connector event, like on Zoom, where we can get together and just talk to each other. I've been thinking about that for a while, and that's probably going to happen also in December early. So be looking out on your email for that. And I'll see you next month. And if you don't join us for gift of guidance, I'll see you in January. And we do have an amazing guest that I still can't quite tell you who it is. We're lining up for January. I just need to make sure they accept 100%, but I'm excited about that. So we're moving forward into 2021. Yes.
Yeah.
Celebrate. Okay,
we made it. All
I
right.
know.
Bye, guys. Thank you so
want some
much.
confetti or something here.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Walter.
Bye, guys.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.